Madam Web has arrived, and I know that this is a day that a lot of you have had circled on your calendars for the longest time, especially you move believers out there. And in this video, I'll be discussing my first impressions of Madam Web, the testing that we experienced on our first day here, and of course, the decks that we played, and whether or not I think it's going to be foundational to moving forward. Right off the top, I gotta tell you, I approached the review of this card a little differently. I did a much longer stream than usual, and then after the stream was concluded, I actually kept playing by myself with the cameras off and everything, just so I could really focus on the card, on the archetype, and to get a better understanding of whether or not this was going to be as instrumental to move as was believed. And I came to the understanding of a couple different things. One, so many of us are testing this card right now, and quite frankly, none of us are move experts because move has been so irrelevant for so long that suddenly trying to pick up move and find the optimal lines and play it with 100% effectiveness is near impossible. And so reviewing it as somebody who admittedly is not a great move player, and I don't think anybody is except for the few of you listening right now. I know very few content creators that are dedicated move specialists, right? Molt has not been making content, unfortunately. We need to bring Molt back. But what I'm trying to say is that I tried to really focus on the card and focus on what it was doing because I want to ensure that I get an accurate read on what this card is capable of, considering it is an archetype that I have less experience with. What I will say is that it's become very clear to me that Madam Web has challenges. However, she is going to be foundational to the way move is being played for the rest of Marvel Snap. There is never going to be a top performing move deck that shakes up the meta that does not have Madam Web in it. It's that critical to move. So if you're a move player or you enjoy playing move, then you have to have this in your collection. It's really that simple. It's irreplaceable, and there will not be another card that does what this card does. It plays very fun, it's very flexible, and for move, it is an activator that this archetype has sorely missed for a very long time. A lot of my testing, I tried to see if it could work outside of move, and I actually think it could. And what's interesting about it is I actually really hate the fact that it's a 2-1. The power being generated by Madam Web is not power that is directly associated with its stat line, the 2-1 versus 2-3. I'm convinced the 2-1 is specifically to make it easier to be targeted by Red Guardian. However, at 2-3, I feel like it would have been a much more considerable add-in to some of the ongoing archetypes that I was testing that honestly performed very, very well. They actually outperformed the move decks that I was playing. But the stats really matter there. For Madam Web and move, the 2-1 doesn't matter when you have an absolutely massive Human Torch or an absolutely massive Dagger. The challenge is both Dagger and Human Torch are susceptible to significant tech options, including Shang-Chi, Shadow King, and of course Killmonger in the case of Human Torch. There's a lot of inherent risk with the way these decks play. Moreover, space is a factor. The move archetype itself is unable to compete with limited space. It's very difficult to do so. And so the question then becomes, okay, Madam Web I think is really good for move. But will move be really good in Marvel Snap? That is the question we're seeking to answer. We're getting Aranya next week as well, who's going to be a key activator for move. So you're going to have these double-pronged approach here. And the challenge you'll have is that if Aranya really does have a positive impact on move, you'll need to have Madam Web to really kind of pull the whole package together. And if you skip on Madam Web and then Aranya comes out and you pick up Aranya and she's really good and move really takes off, then now you're kind of screwed, right? And you can still just pin it in the shop with tokens, but you won't be able to use your spotlight keys. Madam Web, I think, is going to be incredibly important and irreplaceable in move. So, for that, I do think that it's worth getting, simply because it is going to be the type of card that if you ever play move, you are going to need it. And if you ever play move and you don't have Madam Web, you're going to regret letting it go. Early statistics would indicate that Madam Web and everyone playing move right now is basically just tanking their stats, right? Like the win rate's sub 50%, the cube rate's in the negative. But honestly, I wouldn't fret yet. The reason for this is because, first of all, there's a lot of experimentation with which decks can be the most viable, which ones are going to be the strongest. And generally speaking, cards have a very wide application when they first come out, and then they niche into much more effective play lines, much more effective decks. So as the brewing phase kind of starts to end, the win rates start to increase. Moreover, as I mentioned prior, you also have an archetype that people have very little experience with on aggregate, and so I think the win rates in their piloting errors are going to be lower as a result, okay? So keep that in mind from a statistics standpoint. So what I want to do here is I'm going to show you guys some of the decks. I had some really interesting ideas that I think were really cool, and I actually really liked the way some of these decks played that were not necessarily move. So I want to get those kind of gears turning for you, and we actually did really well with this deck right here. I'm going to switch screens here, and we go to here. Madam Marvel is what I called this deck, and it's an ongoing deck that uses the Madam Web. And I'm going to show you a move deck too, because I know a lot of people are interested in move decks, but this deck absolutely crushed. It was doing so well for us. And the reason for this was because Madam Web, I was putting her on the periphery, right? Not into the center locations. And I was able to kind of rearrange the cards and the way that things were positioned in order to benefit Miss Marvel, Mystique, and Onslaught. Mystique, Onslaught, and Miss Marvel were going to be that center location. And let's say there was like a Sanctorum there that I couldn't access. Well, I could still drag those cards mid, right? For the most part. Well, I couldn't play the Onslaught. That would be the Spectrum line as a fallback. But what I was able to do with Madam Web was I was able to ensure that Howard the Duck went to the right side. I was able to ensure that Captain America went to the right side, or Lizard went to the right side. I was able to kind of disperse my my units and my cards in a manner that ensured that the Miss Marvel proc happened. And even if they junked me, I could move the junk and to ensure that the Miss Marvel effect happened. And so it was really good to have this type of macro control over the board state, and Miss Marvel put up tremendous points. It was actually the best Miss Marvel deck I've played in a very long time, by far. And also moving Cosmo can be a lot of fun because they're sitting on a location, Cosmo's there. Well, if they're playing an ongoing, they're not going to play it where the Cosmo is, and you might be able to guess where they're going to play. The move occurs first, and you catch them with the Cosmo. That was actually really fun as well. This deck was a ton of fun, and as I mentioned in my earlier note, the fact that she's a 2-1 actually hurts here, because as a 2-3, I feel like this would have really helped that archetype. That extra 2 power makes a difference in an archetype like this. Not so much with a 90 power dagger, right? So anyways, I really did like this deck a lot. It was by far my favorite one that I played, and I want to show you guys a couple other ones as well. We were working, so I tested so many different decks. The straight up move list that we were kind of working with here was this one here. We were doing this Living Tribunal one. It seems good because if you get your dagger or your Vulture or your Human Torch massive, and then Tribunal kind of spreads the power out there as well. I do think that Beast was phenomenal in these decks alongside Falcon, because picking up these 1-drops, protecting them from Killmongers or from tech, and then reapplying them down on the board state and having them move again with the Iron Fist and the Ghost Spider was incredibly important. Honestly, Falcon and Beast are MVPs here, and I do not see these decks overperforming without Falcon and Beast because they're that critical. I'm still not sold on Hercules. Hercules is better with Tribunal than it is with Taskmaster because you just want big stats on the board. So you can just send things into the Hercules like the dagger or the Human Torch, and you don't care where it ends up because Tribunal's coming down and you just want big stats, right? So this deck did perform of all the move decks that we tested pretty well as well. I also tried to do a couple different things here. I tried to do like this poison dagger, where essentially I was trying to do like as much like poison stuff as I could while also using Madam Web to like move around and kind of set up a board state which was advantageous for us. Kind of use the opportunity to like, okay, multiple game plans. We're doing a little clog to counter the meta. We're trying to kind of do some poison damage with Hazmat and Ajax, but at the same time we're Madam Webbing the dagger. We're Iron Fisting the dagger just to get dagger up to like 12 power sometimes. And I mean, it's a 212. That's not that bad, right? So it was okay. It wasn't the greatest. I don't think it'll overperform moving forward. I tried to do like this Surfer deck, where essentially I was like, okay, what if we use Jean Grey and we use Madam Web and we manipulate the way Jean Grey is kind of being positioned. We have Storm, we can move cards in, they can't move cards in. It was interesting. We won games with it. It was solid. Negasonic felt a little weak at times because unfortunately, even with Jean Grey being able to anticipate where they're going to play, earning initiative is tricky in a deck like this because you don't have the most tempo-centric 1s or 2s. Like, we don't have a Lizard. We have a Madam Web that's 4 power weaker, right? So that could be a bit of a challenge. And so I think there's still some refinement here, but I wanted to show it to you because it was fun. I did find that the kitty-based decks was cool. Like, I brought this up on the Snapchat. Like, what if you don't use Madam Web in move? What if you use it to like play on top of an Angela and then you move the Cull Obsidian out and stuff like that? And I featured a Shadow King in this deck to kind of work against a lot of the move we were seeing, and this deck won us 8 cube games where like literally it was just Shadow Kinging a dagger to 0. Like, it could have been 150 power, doesn't matter. It just drops to 0. I did like how this deck played, honestly. But ultimately, oh, this was the Taskmaster version I was telling you about too. So yeah, so there's this Taskmaster version. This is statistically one of the better ones as well that we're seeing on Untapped. Very good as well. And again, you're basically beasting on turn 5. You're playing down the Human Torch, everything, making all this magic happen, and then you're Taskmastering that Human Torch after it has moved and bounced off Hercules and got Iron Fisted and stuff like that, right? It is a pretty cool deck. But what I will tell you at the end of the day, the one that I liked the best was my Madam Marvel one. It just was by far the most fun, and I know that you're looking for move, and I just showcased those as well, but do not sleep on the fact that Madam Web's ability is strong enough that it just rearranging your board, even outside of move, could potentially be a hidden just factor in whether or not you want to get this card. It's entirely possible that in the future, even if move doesn't quite make it as an archetype, that Madam Web will, simply because it's finding places to be played in ongoing decks, which honestly have been pretty good for the last couple of months, okay? So at the end of the day, if you are short on tokens, if you're short on keys, the best thing you can do is wait until the end of the week. This is the ultimate wait and see card, simply because we want to see how the best decks shape out with this particular card. It's entirely possible that move won't quite make it yet. Like, it'll just not make the top archetypes. We also have Aranya coming out next week, and it's set to boost the archetype even further if Madam Web tends to, I don't want to say the word fail, but if Madam Web doesn't elevate the archetype to that next level, then perhaps Aranya will allow that. But at the end of the day, guys, I think that in terms of like cards and unique effects and cards that are replaceable and cards that aren't, I think you can confidently spend your resources on Madam Web, simply because there'll never be another card like this. It is so unbelievably unique that I think it's going to be one you'll want in your collection at one point or another. The gameplay highlights you're about to watch were a ton of fun. I hope you enjoyed them as well. We'll see you there. I really like the idea of using Madam Web as an opportunity to like rearrange the board state for multiple Miss Marvels. That's kind of the inspiration here. We got Madam Web. Now, Madam Web is a 2 cost. Needs to go either left or right. What I think we do is we play it left. And then we move Howard or Ant-Man. Maybe Ant-Man goes mid, because that's where the other cards will be too. 1-cost cards can't be played there. Keep it there. Play this here. It's harder for it to zoo. We don't even need to move it yet. We have Mystique.
I am reborn.
Mystique is not what we want. Could have played reverse order to at least play the Mystique down, copy the Ant-Man. This is cringe draws. I feel like we actually have a decent chance here, but these draws are terrible. Armor. Damn, we could have actually dealt with that.
Enough said, Bob.
There's Miss Marvel. I'm gonna bring Howard here. I'm gonna onslaught mid. Armor gone? Armor gone? Of course. Alright. It's not the end of the world.
My mighty hand.
Okay, MODOK, yeah, so... Whoa, that's into a... They might have needed that MODOK proc.
My mighty hand.
I think they just lost. Yo, how'd they throw that game? Oh, no. Oh, the Cosmo!
Victory.
Oh, he played on Cosmo! He had to play MODOK on the right! No! For what it's worth, despite their misplay, this was pretty impressive from a power output standpoint. And the Madam Web did allow us to reorganize our board pretty cool. Here we go. Ant-Man to the left. Oh, Silver Sable. Hopefully it hits. I mean, everything it hits kind of feels bad. It's okay. Hit Howard the Duck for sure. Oh, it hit my Cosmo. I think I'll play armor mid. We don't really need armor mid. Let's stick to the plan right now. Let's stick to the plan, chum. Stick to the plan. Taco truck. Alright. We're gonna go Cap. I think we're gonna buff Cap. Yeah, let's buff Cap. They are like full toxic mode, which is fine.
Assemble.
Hmm. 5 energy, eh? Cosmo. I'm gonna play armor right. We don't even have initiative, Saj. Oh, initiative would have been so good. So sad, but it's okay. US agent. -4 +2 counteracted.
Behold my mighty hand.
Going Ajax there. Mystique? No Mystique. Can't even go Lizard. Can't even go Lizard there. I think we give left. Miss Marvel, Ant-Man, Howard. For 1 power, Howard. 1 power, Howard. Don't even. I can't. No, he's actually gonna buff Ajax. No, he's gonna buff Ajax. Okay, cool play. Get the win still.
Victory.
And again, like, Madam Web's helping us. Like, we're doing stuff with her, right? It's not broken. It's not like some crazy dagger bouncing around, but like the manipulation of the board state's pretty helpful.
Opponent snapped.
Dagger moves, gets kicked back. Shadow King. Okay.
Hey man, I'm Cook.
There it is.
Victory.
Hold on. We can Strange Academy and Madam Web at the same time? How exciting is this? I guess I will. Don't mind if I do. Wait, hold on. Play her left. I'll give a fist bump there. Whoa! US agent. He has to. He's gonna Rhino mid, or he's gonna Rhino the right. What's he want to Rhino? Damn, we got the Hercules as well. Oh, he Rhinos there. Let me just think here. Let's try this line. Is he playing C3? Let's try this. Hercules. No. Come on. Bro. We do have a Cerebro gamer. If you symbiote dagger, you move dagger, you symbiote ghost spider, it pulls dagger as the last card played, right? And then we Heimdall, dagger moves again? I'm not sure if this line will even work. Watch. Move dagger. Dagger still last card played. Goes to Hercules. Bounces. Bounces right? I don't know. I Heimdall for the memes? Send. I'm just shipping this because I want to see what happens. I don't think Heimdall actually makes this play any better. But let's do it. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Okay. Dagger moves. 0 to 6. Symbiote. Hits dagger. Unnecessary Heimdall. But we got Hercules. Yes? That's a 24 dagger on one turn? Heimdall? But all the bad cards went left. So we absolutely demolished mid. Oh, no.
I am Iron Man.
Okay, so we won mid. That's the good news. This is why the win rate on move is going to be low for this one. Come on, give me that Ebony Maw. Let me cope in peace. Please. No Ebony Maw, fine. Ebony Maw. Spectrum. Okay. It's a one-costed rock. Like a rock. Let's Madam Web. I think we Madam Web here. Maybe move Howard. Hey, look, we're playing against a move player. Who could have possibly have thought that we would have played against someone playing move? You know? What were the chances that we would have encountered a move player? I'm gonna hold on a sec. I think what we're gonna do is we'll cap. I'm gonna play this here. I don't need to move yet. Let's move Jean Grey middle. One, two, three.
Avengers!
Assemble.
So they played their Madam Web there, and now I moved the stuff here, but they played Cloak. So now we can move Madam Web again. Okay. Little beast gameplay there.
I see.
Heimdall now? Okay. Jean Grey. Spectrum. We technically trade up on mid too. They Madam Web the Heimdall.
Knowledge is power.
I am
Wait,
the
wait.
Sorcerer Supreme.
That's a big dagger play. Wait. There it is. There it is. We get the win. There's a 9 vulture and a 21 dagger on the board. And we still got the win.